Hello? Wanted you to see this.
So Superman's getting a reboot this summer, so I figured I'd tell you one of his stories. And since the internet seems to think that this version is the best, I figured I'd tell you this story. So here's Man of Steel.
Alright, you've got our attention.
So we're on planet Krypton, where this lady's pooping out a kid.
Like our ancestors did.
This is a place with a bunch of advanced technology, but they still dress like Shakespeare guys.
Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?
So even though his wife had the first natural birth in centuries, this guy Jor-El still goes to work. But to be fair, it is to go talk to a council about how the planet is dying and that they only have a couple weeks left to survive. But I don't know why he thinks they'd listen to him now when he, their top scientist, has been warning them for years that they're killing the planet. But they were all drill baby drill, and now the core of their planet is collapsing.
I'm tired of this debate.
But he has a plan to save their race by sending their DNA to a bunch of outposts around the galaxy with their spaceships.
Well, why don't the people go on the ships too?
Well, I mean, you'd have to pack and say goodbye to everybody. Honestly, it's just easier for them to just die.
Everybody here is already dead.
But then, this guy General Zod shows up, and he says he's taking over, and everybody's like, okay, well, except this one lady.
On whose authority?
And Zod shoots her to make everybody know he's super serious. They take Jor-El to another room, where he beats up the guards, and then jumps on a flying cockroach that was somehow able to hear him over all the explosions. And he takes that to their underwater birthing chambers, where he dives in and retrieves the skull. And this skull is called the Codex, and this is the DNA thingy that can help them restart their race. And when he comes out of the water, they tell him to stop and surrender the Codex.
So if we're done measuring dicks, can you have your people show me what you found?
But then they shoot at him and this extremely important artifact because he paused.
I will reclaim what you have taken from us.
So he jumps off the ledge, and luckily his cockroach catches him. So even though he's being followed, he heads home, where his bright idea is to send the Codex with his baby to Earth for safety. But his wife Laura's like, no, I can't give him up. He should stay here and die with us. But she does eventually give in.
I'm not going anywhere, Mom. I promise.
But knowing that Zod's on his way, Jor-El suits up ready to fight. He then tells Zod that he's wrong for trying to pick and choose which families get to continue, right after he sent his son on a spaceship to make sure he survived.
Hypocrite!
And knowing this, makes Zod order his men to kill him because he had a baby with his wife.
Why would he care?
Well, the Kryptonians pre-programmed their kids to have jobs at birth, but Jor-El and Lara had their baby the old-fashioned way. And that made Zod mad, or maybe jealous, I don't know. But then the science nerd kicks the shit out of the military general.
I was Krypton's military leader. Your father, our foremost scientist.
As Lara launches the ship. So Zod stabs Jor-El, and then asks Lara where the ship went. And she says,
he's beyond your reach.
Even though it's like, right there. Zod then orders his men to shoot down the ship containing the only thing that ensures the survival of their race.
Every action I take is for the greater good of my people.
But the ship gets away.
Ah, horse shit!
Zod and his men are then arrested, tried, and sentenced to the Phantom Zone. So basically, they're trapped in giant metal penises, given a ship, and sent off planet to live, while everybody else stays and dies literally seconds later.
We might not have thought this through.
You're a pack of fools!
So we go to Earth years later, where a fishing boat gets a distress signal from an oil rig that's on fire. Some men are trapped inside, and the fishing boat captain's compassion's overwhelming.
Forget them, they're dead.
But one of the guys from the boat swims out and climbs up the rig, and he goes on board and saves everybody.
I just think he's kinda hot.
He gets him up to the helipad, but a tower's about to fall, so he uses his abs to keep the tower from falling on him, so they can escape. He then goes to this little fishing village, where he steals some clothes from a guy, and then sees a school bus, and remembers a time where his dad told him he should have killed a bunch of kids.
Oh, that makes sense.
Well, that's not exactly what I meant.
Yeah, back when he was in school, his bus fell into the river, and all the other kids just sat there as Clark walked to the back door, because apparently it's easier for them to just die.
Couldn't find your body till after spring.
But then he pushed the bus on shore, and his dad said that he probably shouldn't have done that because now people might suspect he's an alien.
I don't even know why I'm listening to you. You're not my dad. You're just some guy who found me in a field.
See, Kal-El's ship landed on a farm in Kansas, and apparently they just have finders keepers rules in the country because Jonathan and Martha Kent just adopted this kid. Nobody says shit when they just show up with a kid.
Nobody cares.
Well, as the kid grew up, he started showing signs of being different, like randomly getting x-ray vision and then superheating doorknobs with his laser eyes. So years later, when he saves this bus, he just swims away, and all the kids look at him like, Jesus Christ, that kid's weird.
You'll be an outcast, a freak.
You'll be a god to them.
Then, the school bully's mom goes to the Kent's house to yell at them for Clark saving her asshole kid's life.
And this isn't the first time Clark's done something like this.
So Clark ends up getting a job at a bar. This dude's trying to fight him, even though he's half his size. But Clark doesn't do anything.
I wanted to hit that kid. I wanted to hit him so bad.
Except shish kebab his truck. Nothing suspicious about that.
Make you feel any better?
Oh, he must have really been mad.
Actually, he kind of looks at it like, I don't remember parking there. But because he did this, Clark has to leave town. But luckily, he heard some dudes talking about something weird being found in the middle of nowhere. So he hitchhikes there to get a job, where this reporter Lois Lane shows up. Apparently the military found some sort of ship, and she wants to sneak around and figure out what's going on.
There's a bucket in the corner.
In the middle of the night, she sees Clark going towards it, and follows him into a tunnel that he made with his laser eyes. And he never hears her following him with his super hearing when there are no other sounds around. On the ship, Clark sees this hole that's about the same size as a pendant he wears around his neck, so he puts it in. But this robot owl grabs his left arm, so he can't push it in.
Why didn't he use his right arm?
I guess he forgot he had one. But when he gets his left arm free, he remembers he still has a right hand and pushes it in, which powers the robot owl down.
It is of little consequence.
He then turns to see Jor-El creeping around the corner, so he follows him.
Where the hell are you going?
But then Lois gets there, and the robot owl sees her camera as a threat, so it attacks her.
You better watch out, Lois.
But Clark saves her.
Are you effing stupid? That's a $12 million piece of hardware.
It was.
Wasn't it turned off?
I don't know, I guess it was in sleep mode. But what we should wonder is how he was able to crush this droid that was strong enough to hurt him.
He got hurt?
Yeah, and considering this would be the first time in his life that he's ever felt pain, he should be crying like a little bitch. Since she's shot, he uses his laser eyes to cauterize the wound, and then he takes the ship, politely leaving her in the middle of the Arctic by herself.
Temperatures drop to -40 at night around here.
And when she gets back to her editor, Perry says that she was probably hallucinating the story. And I don't know why she just doesn't show him the wound where a guy lasered her stomach shut. But because he's being a dick, she gives the story to a tabloid website instead.
Didn't you once describe my site as a creeping cancer of falsehoods?
So back on the ship that the military did not track at all, Jor-El finally says hi, and also that he wishes his mom could say hi too, which she could have if he would have downloaded her consciousness too, but I guess he was too lazy.
I was texting my mom. She passed away a few years ago.
So Jor-El catches him up on the history of Krypton, and then gives him a suit that's been on Earth for 20,000 years, with his family crest on it in his size.
Well, look at you!
He now knows that the sun makes him stronger, so after 33 years of being on Earth, he finally tests his powers.
Whoa, just like that?
So Lois is trying to track down the guy who saved her, and after hardly any effort whatsoever, she tracks him to his mom's house, and he meets her at his dad's grave.
His daddy died?
Yeah, there was a tornado, and his dad went to save the dog from a car.
Well, why didn't Clark do it?
Oh, well, his dad handed him a kid, so he had to take her another 20 feet to safety.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
But when Jonathan realized that he couldn't make it back, he tells Clark to stay there, because it's easier for him to just die.
Oh, come on. Everybody in town would have figured out he had powers by now.
Yeah, but they were on a highway, so there were people from out of town around, so it was easier for him to just die. And if you haven't figured it out yet, it's kind of a running theme in this story.
There is no refuge.
Everybody here is already dead.
Forget them. They're dead.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe.
Well, anyway, Lois and Clark talk, and he basically tells her that it's really important that nobody find out about him. So the world immediately finds out about him when General Zod's ship shows up. He's got a technology that cuts off all electricity, except televisions, and he tells the world he's looking for Clark. The FBI knows that Lois knows Clark, so they arrest her. So Clark suits up, and then he turns himself in, and goes to talk to Lois in custody.
I can see half-eaten roll of wintergreen lifesaver in your breast pocket. You won't need it.
That you know of.
And the military wants to turn him over to Zod, but when they're handing him over, they want Lois to come too. Not really sure why they even know about her.
I'm a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter.
Zod tells Clark that once Krypton was destroyed, they were released from the Phantom Zone, so they were in jail for like a day. And then they went planet to planet looking for him in the ship that they were given. Oh, and while they were planet hopping, they found a world engine, a machine that will terraform any planet into one like Krypton. He then gives Clark a compelling argument about how they should kill everybody on Earth and turn the planet into one like Krypton, instead of the handful of them just living like gods.
You would knowingly sacrifice all those lives, as if they mean less than yours.
But it turns out to be a good thing that they wanted Lois for no apparent reason, because Clark was able to pass her the alien USB drive, and she ends up uploading Jor-El to the ship, and he helps her escape. He then gives Clark a pep talk about saving Earth, which causes him to become Space Jesus. He then goes after Lois, while we see that the Kent farm is a magnet for alien spaceships. They question Martha about where Clark's ship is, but she won't say.
There it is.
So when they find the ship, they do a shit job of looking for the codex.
The codex is not here.
Well, Clark doesn't like how Zod's treating his mom.
think you can threaten my mother?
So he tells him how to use his powers instead of using this time to attack him.
So we can suffer through years of pain trying to adapt like your son has? He exposed a temporary weakness.
Then some of his soldiers grab him and they fuck off. Faora and this other dude are ready to fight Clark, but the Air Force comes in and shoots at all of them on Main Street in Smallville, where there are lots of people hiding in the buildings.
You've taken up the sword against your own people.
The other dude then attacks one of the planes and it blows up, but when Faora goes for one, Clark stops her. They end up fighting in the IHOP, where Faora tells them that they're stronger because they're genetically engineered to be assholes.
I'm not about to let that stop me from trying.
But Clark should be stronger because he actually knows how to use his powers. And they've been wearing these super heavy spacesuits where you can only see their faces, so how much energy could they have really absorbed? I mean, to be at this level of fighting skills, they should have really been fighting naked.
And she showed me her boobies, and I like them too!
But the fight gets moved to the streets, and a bunch more military guys show up and immediately recognize that Clark is the good guy and getting the crap kicked out of him by Faora and the other dude, but Colonel Buttmunch is like, fuck it, shoot them all. So they do, and the other dude throws a van at him, where it crashes, but doesn't blow up because a named character's inside.
But what happens to us?
But somebody fell out, and Clark has to save him.
I'm here to help.
Then the soldiers on the ground shoot at Faora, who kicks their asses, while Clark fights the other dude. He punches him a few blocks away into a train, and Faora goes after Colonel Dumbass, who tries to take someone on who's bulletproof with a knife.
But we are hopelessly, hilariously outgunned.
And she kind of respects that he's not going down without a fight, but then Clark comes in and saves him.
Isn't that a good thing?
A good death has its own reward.
Then Clark gets hit with a train, and a ship picks up Faora and the other dude, and they fuck off. The soldiers corner Clark, but all refuse to shoot when he walks past him. Then Colonel Douchebag finally gets the idea and says,
"This man is not our enemy."
And all the soldiers are like, no shit, we could have told you that when we first got here.
Are you watching this crap?
But the world engine is now in place, and they start converting Earth.
It's only stuff that can always be replaced.
Well, Jor-El told Lois how to destroy the world engine, so they're going to use the ship that Clark came to Earth in to bomb it. And since time is of the essence, Lois changes clothes.
I get writer's block if I'm not wearing a flak jacket.
Jets are shooting missiles at the world engine, but they just get sucked in by the gravity generator. But a jet gets too close and crashes into a building that starts to fall. And only people we've been introduced to are smart enough to get away from the falling building by turning.
Watch it, dumbass! Keep your eyes open, you're gonna get squashed!
So Clark is on the other side of the world trying to destroy the other world engine, but tentacles keep attacking him, so he ends up flying right up the middle of it.
All right, you alien assholes! Up yours!
And he does this just in time to save the reporters that were just about to die. But they might not have been in danger if they evacuated as soon as Zod's ship showed up instead of waiting on permission from their boss.
All right, everybody, we're leaving. We're leaving the building now.
He also makes it all the way back to Metropolis in time to save Lois from being shot down by Zod. He then destroys Zod's ship.
If you destroy this ship, you destroy Krypton!
You're talking about genocide.
Yes.
And now, I have no people.
Then Faora jumps on the plane and stops him from bombing the engine. The Colonel then kamikazes the plane into the engine, but not before Lois gets thrown out of the plane and doesn't get sucked into the gravity portal like literally everything else falling.
That thing does not obey the laws of physics at all.
And Clark also catches her and takes her back to her friends. And they also think that after a whole bunch of people just died is a perfect opportunity for them to have their first kiss.
Oh, what, he was girlfriend?
He then goes to Zod, who tells him that he's genetically engineered to protect Krypton at all costs. And this is where Clark should have been like, hey, I'm the only one left, so protect me. But no, they just fight. And apparently Zod's armor was way too heavy because when he takes it off, he can fly now.
Yeah, I can fly.
So they end up fighting all the way up into outer space. And when they come crashing down, they not only fall back into Metropolis, but within walking distance from Lois. And she walks in right as Zod's about to laser a family. And these idiots are too stupid to run away from the laser.
It's a seemingly intelligent population.
So Clark has to break his neck to keep him from killing him, but he stupidly turns his head towards the family. So they should be really happy that he closed his eyes before he did it.
Are you alright, Clark?
What's wrong with him anyway? He's such a freak.
Couldn't Clark have just covered his eyes?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this particular situation could have been solved by playing a game of peekaboo. Then Clark goes to General Swanwick and tells him that they'll never figure out where he lives.
I know you're trying to find out where I hang my cape. You won't. I grew up in Kansas.
But didn't they fight in his hometown and have to get his ship from his family farm?
Yes.
We were sure the government was going to show up at our doorstep, but no one ever came.
That's what they're supposed to do. It's the Pentagon.
So Clark goes back to Kansas to make sure his mom's okay.
I'm all right.
But you'd think she'd be like, honey, can you get the truck out the living room? And that's when she reminds him of a time he was running around the backyard with a cape on.
Wait, he used to pretend to fly, but didn't actually try it until he was 30?
I'm sure he was just worried that he'd break something if he fell off the roof.
He could shoot lasers out of his face.
Shut up. You want to talk about stupid? He ends up getting a job with all the people he just saved, and they don't recognize him because he has glasses on.
Yes, as a master of disguise, you have no equal, my friend.
We've been doing the best we can, and we've been making this up as we go along.
The element of choice, of chance. What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended for him or her? What if a child aspired to something greater? You've grown stronger here than I ever could have imagined. The only way to know how strong is to keep testing your limits.
This is the end.
Gonna have to ask you to leave.
Hey, asshole, don't forget your tip.